How do you stay productive every day? Are you getting killed by, oh my God, this is already feeling like a fucking advertisement, but I'm not gonna like this is not gonna going to be an advertisement, but are you feeling like you cannot be productive every day? Like you feel brain fog and you're just feeling miserable and you don't feel motivated anymore? Well, don't worry, I'm gonna help you out in this video. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things that I've come to realize that have helped me to be productive nearly every day. And I need only like 1 day a week off, and I can work 6 days a week. I know that a lot of you guys want to be more productive, but you just don't know how. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 3 things that really have helped me scale my productivity, if that's even like a word. So yeah, we want to talk about focus and motivation. Those are really the things that help you be productive. Because productivity basically is focus times the amount of time you spend on it, and the result is the effect that you have caused. And to increase your cost, you want to increase your focus and the amount of time you spend on it. So by increasing your focus and spending less time on other things by saying no, you're going to be more productive. So, what are the 3 things you can do in order to actually spend that time and to be focused on it? Well, the first one is getting healthy. The second one is getting happy, which is the motivation part. And the third one is getting mentally clear, which is being focused. Because there's things that make you focus, but there's also things that make you unfocused, like digital distraction, fake dopamine coming from movies and porn, overstimulation, information overload, overwhelm for your brain, too much. But first, let's talk about the health part. And I just want to let you know beforehand, health, focus, and happiness, they are all interconnected. But you will still want to like divide them into their own fields because they still have their own little details to them. So the first one with health, of course, you can talk about sleep, nutrition, exercise, movement. So everyone knows that sleep is important. Everyone knows that nutrition is important. Everyone knows that exercise is important. But knowing what to do doesn't mean that you know how to do it and why to do it. So everyone knows that eating healthy is important, but why don't we eat healthy then? Well, because no one really knows what healthy is, how to eat healthy. And as a result, we still have a modern society that is obese and fat and ugly. So in my opinion, the best way to be healthy and to stay productive is by making sure that, of course, you eat healthy. The food you take into your body is like the most important thing in your entire life because your body is built by the food that you eat and also the water that you drink, of course. Water is very important. Don't drink shit other than water. Just you only need water. Just drink fucking Pellegrino. Water, 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 water. The way that I believe humans are meant to eat, but I can still be wrong because I'm like 20 years old and I've only done so much research and I've only watched so many videos and podcasts and I've only read so many books. But what I think to believe from my experience and my research is that we thrive on an animal-based diet. Now, I know that a lot of you guys watching this video are gonna like say, well, I thought that plant-based is better. You still might believe that. And that's like completely fine. Like, I don't have the truth. I might still be wrong. But based on what I've learned, and also still like in school, like we come from hunter-gatherers, right? I believe that we should be eating at least like, say, 70% animal-based and maybe like 30% plant-based. So you can already verify this yourself if you look at the past 10,000 years. I think that maybe people who believe in the Bible have like a different story. So I can't really reason in the beliefs that you have. But at least what I believe has happened in the past 100,000 years is that I think for a long period of time we've been hunters and gatherers. Then later on, so many animals died because we became overpopulated and we hunted them because we were so intelligent. And as a result, there came more scarcity in terms of the animals that we had to, eat. And as a result, we started farming, staying in one location and eating more plant-based. And, there's been a lot of research on the results of it, but my personal conclusion from what I've learned is that that is the worst decision that we have ever made. But it also was kind of a forced decision because we didn't really have an alternative, because the alternative was starving because there were no animals anymore. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of model our history by eating mainly animal based and away from the standard American or just Western diet in general. So everyone can at least agree that eating sugars is bad for you, eating processed foods is bad for you. And we can still have a conversation about whether it's better to eat plant-based or animal-based. But let me just tell you, either you're going to be carb dependent or you're going to be fat fueled. And I'd rather be fat fueled because from my experience, I can go for a day without food Meanwhile, my friends, after a couple of hours having no food, they're like, I'm getting lightheaded, and let's eat something, and let's take a rest. Meanwhile, I haven't eaten anything yet today. It's already 4 o'clock. I only eat once a day, and for 23 hours a day, I'm in a fasted state, which is in my belief, primary metabolic state, and all of the energy in my body is going to my brain and my muscles, so I can start thinking clearly and fucking hunt an animal so I get to eat for the next couple of days. And once you eat, you go from fight and flight to rest and digest. So all of the energy goes from your brain and muscle to your stomach, and as a result, you become a little less productive, less focused, because now it's just time to enjoy your time and just relax and digest and make sure you don't waste any other energy because tomorrow you have to hunt again. So if you start thinking in that hunter-gatherer mindset, then you come to understand that once you eat, you actually communicate to your body that, hey, for today, I have completed my deed. I can now just relax and chill because I have survived. Think in terms of survival. Like, if you want to survive in your business, you kind of want to align your survival instincts to succeed in surviving with your business, which is success. So, what I do every morning and every midday, I don't eat. Meanwhile, other people are still eating because they have to, because they are carb dependent. Because when you are carb dependent, you cannot go without food for a long period of time. Because after a couple of hours, your blood sugar just drops and you get an energy crash, which is like the reason you feel lightheaded and you need to eat and you're all unfocused and brain fog. And the problem is that when you eat your breakfast and your lunch and you have that high increase in blood sugar levels, then the insulin, which reduces the blood sugar levels, then has to be increased again, which as a result, if you eat a lot of carbs, it can overreact. And as a result, after a couple of hours, you get a crash. So, from my understanding, the more carbs you take in, the bigger the crash. If you only eat a little bit, it's gonna be more fine. But everyone has eaten a chocolate bar like 100 grams of sugar to feel fucking hyperactive for 1 hour and then to feel completely dead the next hour. That's how it works with sugars. And you don't have any of that when you are fat fueled. When you are in a constant ketosis state, you're burning your ketones, your fat cells, to make energy. You don't have that. Like, your blood sugar is constant because your body creates it yourself. So as a result, I am basically a machine mentally and physically. And there's also a lot of nutrients and all of that stuff that I'm not going to talk about today. You might still think that eating animals is bad, and I agree, eating animals is bad because you're killing animals. But I still believe that, that's just the way it is. That's just the way our body works. Like, are you gonna say that a tiger or a lion is bad? I would say they are bad because they are killing animals, but they kind of have to. And of course, we are not lions, but I think that we at least should think about the fact that every history book that we have read talks about us being hunters and gatherers. Look at the Native American tribes, look at the Australian native tribes. There's so many examples of people eating like 70% just meat and eating like 30% plants. And I'm just making up the number. It could be like 80 or 90% or maybe 60%, but at least not only one burger per day. Like, I'm eating at least a couple of pounds. So I know that I'm already spending a lot of minutes on just this topic of nutrition, but you just gotta understand, like, nutrition is everything. Because if you're gonna put crap into a fucking Lamborghini, then it's not gonna fucking drive. Even though you have the potential to drive so fucking fast, if you put in the wrong fuel, it's just not gonna work. But I have to mention, if you just eat like a standard Western diet and you're young and you exercise a lot and you get enough sunlight and you get enough sleep, you're not gonna feel bad necessarily. However, it depends from person to person how sensitive you are to this. I was a lot more sensitive than my brothers and my father and mother because I ate a lot more sugar in my youth, and as a result, I became a lot more sensitive to my insulin, I believe. And when I started eating just my breakfast, I would just feel fucking terrible in the afternoon, and I just couldn't focus anymore. And just imagine how terrible the feeling would feel if you had to lie in bed like at 2 o'clock because you just didn't feel any energy, and as a result, you just didn't do anything with your life. Believe that 90% of people are living with a constant brain fog as a result of their poor diet, and that as a result, there's a lot of more mental illness, not as a result of the brain fog, but as a result of having a bad diet. And there's a lot more stupidity in the world because my IQ, I fucking know it, has certainly increased on this diet. I think that I am currently more intelligent than I was on my old diet. And I just know it because I think better and I think more clearly and I can solve bigger and harder problems than I did before. So the benefits of nutrition are clear. And for me, it's been constant energy during the day, having a lot of energy and having a lot of focus, becoming smarter, being way happier because nutrition and happiness are, of course, closely connected. I believe that a lot of mental illnesses are caused by diet. I actually even almost know it, but I just want to like be very careful with the words that I put on my YouTube channel because I am still very young and I just got to humble myself. But I think that I know that many mental illnesses are caused by diet because I've seen it in so many of the people that I've talked to who have gone on an animal-based diet and who have completely washed away their depression or issues. Just look at Jordan Peterson, and he's like an online example that I don't know in real life, but I've actually seen real life examples of people that I know who have solved their depression because depression can just be an actual inflammation in your fucking brain. And that I believe to be caused by a lack of nutrients from the Western diet in combination with certain toxic compounds that we eat from plants and carbs and processed food that we get in. One of the worst things you can do to your body is eating seed oils. Just avoid anything with seed oils. Even if you fucking are plant-based, just don't eat seed oils. If you're gonna do that, you're already gonna be a lot better than most people because seed oils are one of the main reasons that people get fat and ugly and they have cardiovascular diseases and they have cancer. And if you can just cut that out and even if you go plant-based, you don't eat all the crap and the processed foods, you're already going to be way better off than anyone on just a standard Western diet. Anyway, the influence my diet has had on my productivity and my mental clarity and my happiness, my motivation, and my business is just insane. It's completely changed my life, and I've never felt better in my entire life. Like, it's fucking insane mentally, physically, the way I feel about myself, my happiness, everything. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the ketogenic or the carnivore diet and switching from your Western or plant-based diet to a primarily animal-based diet, switching your metabolic state, which is like your internal factory of energy production, from burning carbs to burning fats for fuel. Then, once you are fat adapted, you want to start looking at fasting because you can still like eat your steak in the morning and feel like shit because like you're still gonna have that rest and digest to provide energy to your body to digest the food to get energy later on. Now, you're also still going to communicate to your body that you've already cut your animal, so you can be a little bit less disciplined and motivated for now and just relax. So if you are on a carnivore diet and you eat in the morning like I used to do, then you're still going to be not as productive as you could be because you're not in a fasted state anymore. And just think about it. When you're in a fasted state, you must be on alert because you must constantly be hunting for an animal. So that's going to be the state that you want to be in. So what I would highly recommend you do is eat only once a day. And it might sound very frightening, once a day. But it's fucking easy if you're on this diet. And people have gone without food for days in history. It's just that you on this carb-based diet is unnatural for our bodies, very dependent on the literal glucose that you're putting into your body. And it's only after 12 hours that your body will also start switching to a fasted state, which is the state where it's in ketosis, which is the state where you start burning fat for fuel. So it's already our natural state of being after 12 hours of not eating any food. So don't think, by the way, that after eating no food for 12 hours, you're going to be fat adapted, because even though you're going to be burning fat after 12 hours being in a fasted state in ketosis, your body still doesn't know how to break down these molecules into fats and then get the energy from it. It only knows how to break down the carbs into glucose to then use that for energy. So once you switch to this diet, it's gonna take like a couple of weeks of diarrhea before you really start getting results. So what you do is you work the entire day in the fasted state, and once you eat, you're done. So you eat like after work at like 7 p.m. and then you're gonna just chill and you're gonna feel way better. And by mirroring the period of time that you have to hunt to get an animal because you're starving, you're getting that extra alertness that you want in order to be more focused on your business. Because basically what happens is you get a little bit more cortisol and you get a little bit more adrenaline so you can hunt that animal once you see him. And once you get that animal, then it's all going down. Because after that, it's just gonna be rest and digest, sitting down at the campfire with your wife, having a tea, making love, producing children, and then getting to bed. That's the cycle of life. What I also notice is that I'm a lot less social when I am hungry because I need to hunt for an animal and I need to fucking eat because I need to survive. And only once I've eaten, I start becoming very social and I become relaxed and all of that stuff. And that is also like a small benefit of being in a fasted state all day while working, because once you eat, you're gonna be a lot more social and you want to hang out with your friends and family and maybe your girlfriend. And if you don't eat, then you're not gonna have as much of an instinct to go out and socialize. Because I am a very social guy. I'm super extrovert, and I'm sitting 10 hours a day in this little room in this house, just working in front of my computer. And the moment I eat, I really can't think about working anymore. I just want to like go out. I want to meet friends and just have a good time, because that's really, what you live for. You live for people. In that way, working on your laptop business is kind of unnatural because you're sitting in front of a screen for 10 hours a day. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of years ago, or how many years it may have been, you were just out there with your men, getting some animals and then having a nice time with your kids and your family and the wives and, you know, setting up a campfire. That's like our primitive side. And I think that's also going to bring a lot more happiness instead of just sitting in front of a computer. But for now, it's just going to be necessary because what the fuck is the alternative? The alternative is that I'm gonna be working for a job for the next 30 years, and I'm also not gonna have that primitive side. But eventually, I just really want to get back into my more primitive mode and just getting out there with your man and building a tribe and networking and having a good time with people and doing stuff, because that's life. Living is not sitting in front of your computer 10 hours a day or working for a soul-sucking job 40 hours a week. That's not life. And you even hear people like Dan Bilzerian talk about how they have live 10 people's lives because they have been able to just do what they want to do. But other people can't because they need money to survive, to buy food and shelter, and as a result, they are slaves to the matrix. So really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get free from the matrix by doing the thing that I actually wanted to try to get away from, to then actually get away from it and go back to the more primitive side of me. Because, when I was younger, I actually didn't want to sit in front of my computer all day. I wanted to get outside, and I wanted to network, and I wanted to do real things with my life. But, it is what it is. And my goal with his whole business is, of course, getting free from the matrix so I'm able to do what I want to do and not have to do what I don't want to do. And I think that's the same for everybody. Everyone just wants to have a good time when they are alive. Everyone wants to build their story and have some amazing experiences and also have some disgusting experiences, because they also make the great experiences better. Like there's no movie without drama. Like you can't watch a movie that's only in an upside stream. Like you need to have the ups and downs to make the ups feel good, because that's a contrast bias that we have. Okay, so let's go to the next thing, which is movement. By the way, I just took a break because I've been recording for so long. These videos are way too long, and later on I can make them shorter so it's more consumable for the masses. But for the real G's who are watching these entire videos, just know like I'm sharing all of the details that if you follow them into detail, will make you a fucking genius, will make you productive, will make you rich. So the next thing is movement, and this one is fucking big. One of the things that many people don't realize is that your body, which is the part that is attached to your head, but your head is also your body, but that your body is made to move. Only 10% of your body is your head, 90% of your body is your body. And so, what most people do is they spend 90% of their time in their head and only 10% of their time in their body. Literally, it's not just like 10 or 90%. Like, people at most move like 1 or 2 hours a day. The average people in the West who has like an office job or goes to school and sits in the classroom all day long only steps like 3 or 4 thousand steps a day. And I have an Oura ring. You can also measure this with an Apple Watch. But it's actually quite shameful to see that I only also had like 3 or 4 thousand steps a day. I would just wake up every morning. I would just sit in front of my desk for a couple of hours. Then maybe during the afternoon, I would just go like to the supermarket to get some food as a reason to move. But what I noticed is that as a result of not moving, my focus just decreased tremendously. And I've only come to realize this 1.5 week ago, guys. I am 20 years old. I have been doing this stuff for a couple of years, been into the self-improvement space for 4 or 5 years, and I've only come to realize the importance of walking, moving 1.5 weeks ago. Because really, you don't realize that moving is so important for you. Because when you're working or when you're in school, then you still move a lot. But the moment you start working at home, everything changes. Because all of a sudden, you don't have to move anymore. You don't have to go to an office and move within the office. You don't have to school and move within that school building. No, you can just work from home. So the only steps that I took was the steps to the bathroom and to the kitchen and back to into my fucking basement. And I really didn't grasp it for such a long period of time because naturally we are built to move and naturally we get out of our home to go somewhere. But since I'm working inside of my home, working on my business, I don't have to move anymore. And as a result, I've been slacking on moving, and that has had a significant toll on my mental clarity and my happiness. And if you're watching this and you're already moving every day and you're going to places, then just skip this part. But if you're actually grinding on your business 10 hours a day, it's super fucking easy to forget about this. And to be honest, you are unlikely to be very different than me because the average person only does 3 or 4 thousand steps a day, and what you need to be doing is doing 10,000 steps a day. If you're working on your laptop, on your business, you're becoming an entrepreneur, right? Then you need to move your fucking body before you start working. And for most people, it's just stepping into the car and driving to work or staying at home and then getting to work. And they don't realize that this is one of the biggest causes of their lack of productivity and the reason why they are so distracted while doing the work, because they have the lack of focus, which is the reason that they start seeking for distraction during the work because the work is too deep and too painful for them to execute. So everything is super interconnected. Your health, your happiness, and your focus. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be focused and you're also not going to be happy. If you're not going to be focused, then you're also not going to be happy. You can still be healthy, but probably the reason that you're not focused is because you're not moving, which is also not healthy. So what I started doing 1.5 week ago is I started walking 5,000 steps every morning. So I walk about 45 minutes and I have the Oura Ring to measure the amounts of steps that I take. And the moment I get home, I sit down for 5 minutes, I write in my journal, and then I do my X3 workout. By the way, the X3 bar is a device created by John Jaquish. It's especially effective for professionals who need to work a lot because they don't have time to waste 2 hours a day in a gym because they want to make money, which is more important than going to the gym for them, but they still want to get strong. And it's especially very effective if you're tall like me, because in the gym you have less leverage because you need to go through a longer distance when you go up and down with the bar because you're 7 times stronger here than here, and you can verify this yourself when you're doing squats and you're doing push-ups that once you're here, you're gonna be weaker than once you're there. So the reason I go with the X3 bar, by the way, just look it up so you know what I'm talking about, instead of the standard weightlifting protocol, is because first of all, it's better for your joints and your tendons. Like if you long term go to the gym consistently 5 or 6 times a week, which is what I'm doing with the X3 bar, then you're gonna hurt yourself, and it's just not gonna be good for you in the long term. The second reason is that it builds more muscle, and I know that a lot of people are gonna disagree because there's many people getting very strong in the gym, but I can also tell you that there's like 80% of people not getting any results. So that's a conversation to have. I'm not an expert, but we can have a conversation about that later. The third reason, which is the main reason, is that it saves me time. I can do my workout in 20 minutes instead of 2 hours or 1.5 hours, and also including the going back and forth, driving there or cycling there. And as a result, I have more time to work on my business. So I do my X3 bar workout, I shower, and then I get to work. And because of that routine of the morning walk and doing the X3 bar afterwards, and also having journaling, which is like another thing, I am super focused and energized for the entire day. I have a warm shower and I finish it cold, and my entire body is warmed up. See, like an engine, you gotta warm it up. So if you wake up after 8 hours in bed, and again, you haven't moved for 8 hours, and then you only like walk to the bathroom, to the kitchen, and then you go and work, like, are you fucking crazy and out of your mind? Like, what we used to do is we would go out and we would just move and get like wood for the campfire and start hunting and getting out with the people, with the tribe. And instead, after 8 or 9 hours, you just go sit in front of your computer right away. It doesn't make sense because your engine is cold, it's not warmed up. So when you start looking at it that way, then you start understanding the importance of moving in the morning. And just moving for 15 minutes is not enough. You got to go outside, get that oxygen, get that light, get that vitamin D from the sun, and move for at least 30 minutes. And in my opinion, 45 to 60 minutes. And what you'll feel is that your health goes up because your body is your engine and is closely connected to your mental health and your focus. So your health goes up, your focus goes up, and your happiness goes up because we are meant to be outside and move. And it just, you'll notice that you'll start feeling so much happier when you do this, that you'll become more productive and more motivated as well. The next thing too is that if you go without phone, you're also not going to have the distractions and overstimulation and the information overload. So as a result, you have more time to think. You have time to plan your day, to think about the goals, and ask yourself questions like, who do I need to be today to be the person that I gotta be to get the things done that I gotta get done in order to get the things that I want, because I want to get free from the fucking matrix, right? So That is really super beneficial for your folks as well. The easiest thing to implement from this video, I think, is to take a morning walk of 4 to 5,000 steps minimum. And to then start working afterwards, I also highly recommend, of course, weightlifting 6 times a week. And you do that after doing your morning walk. Your body will thank you for it. You'll be happier, you'll be more focused, and as a result, you'll be more productive, and that will help you make more money. So there's gonna be some stubborn guys out there or just people who don't agree because that also happens. You can disagree with my arguments, even though I think they are so fucking logical and I've thought about them 100,000 times before I'm sharing them with you in here in this video. But I talked to a friend of mine and I told him like, hey, just take a morning walk every morning. And he started saying like, everybody is different and this is just different for me. For me, this works best. Meanwhile, I don't really believe that people are different. I think we all eat the same shit. I think we all take a shit every morning. And I think that we all need oxygen. And I think that we all need to move. And that I believe that we all need the lover. Like, we are all basically the same for 90%. So the whole argument that everyone needs a different diet or everyone has like its own unique set of routines that they need is partially true. But for 80% of the time, it's just going to be the same. So he said, like, no, it's different for me. I can just go and work right away, because of course you can work right away. Like I've also done it, and then in the afternoon, like 4 o'clock, then I start moving. I take like a walk, and I just gotta say, like, yes, it's better, but what he doesn't understand that there's a difference between better and great, and it's optimal to do it in the morning because you have laid in bed for 9 hours. So it's not just what you do, but it's also when you do it. And I just try to engineer in my mind what's the best way to do it, and the most logical thing for me to do is to do it right after waking up, because when you wake up the first thing you want to do is move, right? Like get outside, get some oxygen, see some people, and get some sunlight, not sit in front of your desk right away. So like, of course you can focus when you're in front of your desk right away. I've done it for so many times, but I've noticed that during the day, I become less focused if I don't take a walk. And okay, the first few hours I'm focused enough so you can take a walk like after 1 or 2 hours too. But for me, it's just optimal to do it in the morning. Very detailed, I know, but at least this is going to give you the information and the tools. And my experience is to start applying it yourself. I recommend doing it in the morning. You can do it after like 1 hour of working, but I just feel best when I've taken my walk. And the walk gives me the time to think about what I want to do with the day, what my goals are, what I'm grateful for, and what would disappoint me if I didn't do a particular thing during that day. So I have that focus the moment I start working. Oh, so like, how much do we need to talk about in this video? I think it's like going to be in like a 1 hour video. Well, it is what it is, guys. These videos are gonna get better over time. I'm gonna get like editors, and I'm gonna get a bit more maybe scripted or whatever it may be. But these videos are just some value bombs that I want to drop on you guys so you can start implementing shit right away that has helped me to be productive every fucking day, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And of course, every couple of weeks you might need like 2 or 3 days off. That has a lot to do with your business itself. How much stress does it give you? And at the moment, it doesn't give me a lot of stress. So the next thing is happiness. We're on the second part of the fucking video. Okay, so happiness. Well, I just want to give you a couple of principles. You don't need to be motivated to do your work in order to get it done. That's the first part. If you're a man, you should be able to do things that you don't want to do. Because every morning I don't really want to do my workout. By the way, I have to do this workout after this video because I was so inspired from the walk because I had the time to think that I wanted to record it right away, but I don't necessarily want to do my workout. And you still have to do it. So you don't need to have passion or motivation for your business. It's a common mistake that people make. You don't need passion for it. You do need ambition. The only problem is that when you don't have passion and you don't have happiness coming from your business because it's so boring, and you also don't get any happiness from your personal life, then it's a net zero. So you don't have anything to lift you up on a daily basis. Meanwhile, I'm doing boring work on a daily basis, but the things that I do around the business and the work, those things make me happy. So I don't need to get that happiness from the work. And I still do believe that you still get a level of happiness from just doing work, doing deep work, being in that flow state. because that's just a natural state to be in. But I do know what makes me happy after having a terrible day of work, which is having a nice steak, with some salt on it, having a nice dinner with a loved one, taking a look at the sunset and having like a walk or reading a book or listening to a podcast, even watching an episode every fucking day, one episode a day after work as a reward. During school, I was never really motivated to do physics or math, but I had to go through it. And the reason I went through it is because I committed to going through it because I was very motivated to make money. Of course, I committed to make the money, and therefore I came through the adversity. However, I could only do that on the condition that I got my happiness from something else. So on a daily basis, I would just like watch a movie or watch an episode after having my work done, and that helps a lot. Most people don't know how to reward themselves properly, and as a result, they procrastinate on the work they need to do because they don't feel happy. And if you don't feel happy, like if you feel empty, you're not just gonna do any work. But the cool part is that you can achieve happiness from just knowing that you're on the right path and that you're doing work, being ambitious. So just working itself becomes happiness. Anyways, just see it like this. If you think in inversion, you can also think about the things that would make you super unhappy during work. So there's still a lot of things that make you unhappy from doing work, which is stress. If you get a lot of stress from your work, then having stress in your normal day-to-day life is just gonna like give you a burnout. You can only bear like a certain amount of stress. So the more stress you get from your business, the more relaxation you need in your free time. But there is just a certain amount of stress tolerance that you have based on your past and your level of neuroticism, which is just genetical for a large part. But you don't need to necessarily get any happiness from your work. You just need to know how to bear the stress and to be stress tolerant, which means that you need to be strong. And that's again the question, who do I need to be? And you get strong by going to the gym on a daily basis to build up that callus on your hands and on your brain. So to be happy, you need to make sure there's not too much stress in your life because stressors are the main thing that make people unhappy. And at the same time, there's two ways to be happy on a daily basis, which is number one, happiness from work, or number two, happiness from personal life. If you have either one of those two, then you're going to be happy enough to do the other thing. And if you lack both, then you're not going to be motivated at all. That's at least the way I see it. You don't need to be motivated to work as long as your mornings and your evenings are awesome. And that gives you that recovery and renewal. So you can say, like, okay, man, like, I've got energy again. Like having that evening dinner with your wife or girlfriend or loved one that makes you happy after coming home from a long day of work, which is really one of the greatest things to have, I believe, having a girlfriend who just makes you happy after a stressful day of work. To then, watch an episode together or just alone, having that nice ribeye or whatever you like to eat, and to then have a refreshing, renewing 8 hours of sleep so you have energy the next morning again. But if everything is stressful, you're gonna get burned out. So you just gotta like take more time off of your plate, or you're just not gonna make it. So that's a happiness part. Let's talk about the third one, which is focus. So to get focused, there's a couple of things you want to do and a couple of things that you don't want to do. And in this case, being focused, if you already do all of the other parts right, then being focused is really about not doing certain things. It's about not getting distracted by YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these platforms that are fighting for your attention because your attention is worth money. And to not watch porn, to not listen to music every morning you wake up because you feel like that emptiness, and to just go into that dopamine detox. So there's a couple books about this, and one book that I would highly recommend you reading is Digital Minimalism. It will give you some tools to become better at it. But even after I read that book, I had to go through a lot of development and a lot of feedback and evaluation of my habits and behavior in order to improve in everything that I do. So my biggest obstacle was my phone. I'll just get my phone right here. And this is like a slot machine and it's oftentimes here in your pocket. And the thing is that you feel it in your pocket subconsciously the entire day, or when you have it here on the side of your desk, you're just gonna subconsciously process that information that the phone is there. And so you're gonna associate it with a potential message or a notification of anything that you have on your phone. So the best thing that you want to do to not be distracted by your phone is to get it out of sight, because out of sight is out of mind. You can't see it, but I have a closet right here and I'll just put it in out of sight so then I forget about it. And then of course I turn off notifications, but even though I have it out of sight and I have the notification turned off, if it's a habit to take a look at it, then you're still gonna have that craving because you're used to getting that reward from taking a look at your phone. Because basically, a habit is formed by this loop. You have the incentive, then you have the craving to a certain reward, then you have the routine, the action to get that reward, and then you have the actual getting of that reward. So in this case, the anticipation is that I potentially have a message from like a girl or, just a message from anyone. So I take a look at my phone, so I get a dopamine release in my brain. So what I've done to overcome this and listen closely here is I've downloaded an app called Apple Block. And what it does is it blocks certain apps during certain period of the day, during the entire work week. So I don't even have the capacity to take a look at it because it's getting blocked. So I mainly do this for WhatsApp because that's where everyone is messaging me. If you have Instagram, also block that. Or if you have TikTok, who has TikTok nowadays? You should only have TikTok if you're trying to make money off of it, or well, yeah, that's really the only reason, because otherwise you're just taking looks at bimbos trying to get attention and just dumb stuff. And so AppBlock helps me stay away from those apps, and that also gives me peace of mind knowing that I can't even enter them. So there's no anticipation to a reward because I know I can get it. And of course, I still am addicted to these platforms. However, because I can't enter them, I at least am not addicted during the hours that I have to work. And currently, I can take a look on my WhatsApp. But over time, even though it's already beyond 5 o'clock and I can take a look at it, because I'm having way less conversations with people on WhatsApp than I used to have. Like you're getting less conversations and less notifications in general. So it's just less interesting to you in general. But also your mental health and your happiness and your focus from walking helps with this, because if you're not happy, you're going to try to get an high from going on social media. And if you're not focused, then you're not going to be able to work. So you're going to try and grab your phone so you can like feel fakely productive that way or just distract yourself. So the next thing I did is I blocked all feeds on social media, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and I cannot see any recommended videos because otherwise I'm just going to end up watching videos that I didn't plan on watching, and that's going to be a waste of time. I can only go into the search bar and look for a video and then click on it, and then I can also turn off comments and all this stuff. Like there are so many extensions for this, guys. You don't have to be distracted anymore in 2023 because there's enough people that have become aware of the damages of it, that there is a market for it, that there's money to be made from it. You have apps like Freedom. You have this app that I just mentioned, AppBlock. So you don't have to be distracted anymore. You can only really get distracted if you're not on your purpose, if you're not motivated to do work and you're consciously going to look for a distraction that way. But if everything is aligned and you're just happy and you're motivated to work on your business and you just have your phone on the side and you just turn it off and you can even put it on grayscale, there's so many little things that you can do, then you're going to be good to it. So if you just apply all of these things, it's not going to be that hard to work 10 hours a day, guys. I have my phone here on the side, notifications turn off. There's really nothing I can do on it during the working day because I just blocked all the distracting apps, including Spotify, by the way. And as a result, there is no need to take a look at it anymore. You can even put it on grayscale if you want to. But in my opinion, I want to have the nightlight on still. So that's not possible, sadly. And the next thing I also block is porn because porn is so fucking bad. I would rather just scroll 1 hour of social media a day than have to watch it 5 minutes of porn because it just fries your mind with dopamine and it's just I can make an entire video on this, but if you're addicted to porn, or let's just say, hey, if you masturbate to porn like 2 or 3 times a week, probably more, but three times a week. Then just try and quit. And if you can't quit doing it 3 times a week, then it means that you're addicted. Because I only used to do it like 3 times a week. Sometimes it would be more, sometimes it would be less. But if you cannot quit, then it means that you are addicted. Then it means that you are a slave to that behavior, to that habit, because you don't have your own will. So what I would highly recommend you if you're still on porn, which probably most of the people watching this video are, then go to yourbrainonporn.com, whatever it may be, or .org, and start watching like that 1.5 hour video. And when you watch that, you'll see like, oh shit. Like if you're not that motivated and driven and motivated to work on your business, it might be because you're giving up all that drive through your sexual release because you're sexually releasing your drive, your masculinity by watching porn. And then secondarily, you're toxifying yourself, if that is even a word, with fake dopamine, and then your baseline level just goes up so that you get less dopamine and happiness from normal activities like working on your business 10 hours a day, which is super boring to be honest. But I'm saying boring, but actually it's not that boring anymore because I've started to actually enjoy the working because I am not giving fake pleasure to my brain anymore, which includes watching porn. So focus has to do with a lot, guys. It has to do with your health, which comes from nutrition, movement, sleep. Then it has to do with your happiness, because if you're not happy, then you're not even going to want to focus on it. You only want to think about other things than working on your business. And then the third thing is the distractions that you have. Are you distracted with social media and are you distracted with porn? And like it might be a good idea for you to go into a prolonged period of dopamine detox, right? And you can call it a dopamine detox, you can call it a monk mode, but as long as you build habits that help you be productive for 6 days a week or even 5 days a week, because most people don't even get 5 days a week, and you can do that for a long period of time, which is like 6 or 12 months, then you're going to start seeing results that other people haven't been able to. And then you're going to be like a hyper entrepreneur who's actually getting massive results that other people don't get. And then there's going to be people who are saying like, hey, don't be so extreme. My answer to those people are, you know, in order to get extreme results, you gotta be extreme. And then some people say like, well, don't be so hard on yourself. But if you really want to get hard shit done, you gotta be hard on yourself because it's hard to get hard shit done. So then the last part of focusing, if you want to increase your focus, already having optimized your health and your happiness, you want to take more time to think. Because if you don't have enough time to think, you're not going to get clear on your goals and what you want to do during the day. And if you're not clear on what you're gonna do with the day, then you're not gonna do the things that you gotta do during the day to make money. So that's also why every morning when I write in my journal, and I'm not gonna talk about the journal stuff this video because it will just get way too long, but I ask myself what would make today great and what's the goal of today. Because if I don't have that question answered in the morning, I'm going to be way less effective on what I do. There's going to be more time spent on things that I shouldn't be doing. You need to be able to prioritize what you got to do in order to move the needle of your business. And if you don't do that consciously every morning in your journal or just asking it yourself during your walk, then you're not going to be as good at prioritizing the tasks that need to be done in order to make money. Very simple. So what I do is I ask that question in the morning and I ask the question before going to bed. Because if you ask yourself what would make tomorrow great and what should I be doing tomorrow, then after having answered that question, you're already subconsciously going to process that thought and think about it so that the next morning when you wake up, you're almost like aligned with the frequency of the things that you got to do in order to get that shit done and make money. So how can you take more time to think? There's basically, in my opinion, two ways. Number one is meditating. Number two is taking a walk, right? Because in both cases, you're not getting any input. I don't think that meditating, at least for people who are internet entrepreneurs, is an essential habit. I have believed it to be for a very long period of time that I was like, okay, like we gotta meditate because you're getting so much input nowadays, right? But I came to the realization with that whole moving part this week that if you're already sitting for 10 hours on a day of working and you're going to ask yourself and your body to sit for another 30 minutes and to then think and meditate and like declutter, that's just like that doesn't make sense because what your body needs at that point is more movement. So if you move a lot, then I would actually advise, hey, sit down and start, resting your body and just get away of all the stuff going on in your daily life and just sit down and just rest your body and breathe for a moment. But if you're already sitting in front of your desk all day long and you're already like breathing very calmly and your body is rested, then you don't need to calm down your body more. No, you need to actually activate your body more. And that's done by walking. So, there's balance to everything and everything is interconnected. If I were to be moving a lot during the day, then I would certainly take 30 minutes a day to just sit down and meditate. So if you have like a business, if you work like in a store, actually take that 30 minutes a day off and just sit in darkness, eyes closed, and just give yourself a moment to just think. But what I would recommend if you are more towards the sitting side of the spectrum of society, then take 30 minutes a day to just walk. or 45 minutes or an hour. Because during that walk, at least if you're not like in a big city, if you're like more in the outskirts and you have some nature, then you get time to actually think about everything and reflect, you know? And that's really what I've appreciated the most about walking. You take more time to think, which is going to give you the mental clarity. Because what people need the most nowadays is clarity on what they want to do and what they want to achieve and how to do that.